Dusty Maxwell, we are back in the year 1995.
Yes, we are. And this time it is with a original PlayStation hockey game that we got here.
Yeah, so I'm dragging you forward, yet probably back, because this is NHL Face-off for the PlayStation. Came out just a year after our beloved NHL 94 for Sega CD. And yet I can't imagine this is much better.
You know, imagine this, though, going from NHL 94 to, an intro movie like this in all its MPEG-2 compressed glory.
I was going to say, you are primarily responsible for most of the beautiful editing that our lovely viewers see on our channel. And what do you think of the impact font that's just right there with a clock? Because when you say just a minute, you need a Looney Tunes style clock.
It makes it very untrustworthy that it's such a cartoony clock that, I don't know if I trust it. But
so I had this game. I rented this game loads.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I seem to remember there being different the ability to play many more game modes than there was, but I think there was a season, but in any case.
Well, we're doing what is this? The one game original rosters?
Yeah, which is like 1995 speak for it's like don't touch the rosters. Like I didn't put Matt Sundin on like the Buffalo Sabres. So
original rosters,
2 players head to head. Okay.
I'm gonna be give me Detroit.
My controller is freaking out, but we're gonna go with this and call it a visitor's advantage. Yeah, I seem to recall this game being okay, but I have a feeling that it won't
hold up.
Won't hold up. No.
No, we can just play the game here.
Yeah.
Crazy that there's so many options before going into it.
Yeah, I feel like they've overcomplicated things already, this game. I don't think that this is... I would have liked to have been able to pick what team...
Wow. Wow, it just goes right into it.
Just goes straight in.
Doesn't...
No messing about.
Okay, so it looks like... It appears that square is for you to select your player and go to it, and X is to shoot here.
Yeah. So, for full transparency...
Wow, how far can you come out there? Wow.
That's hockey, you know?
It's like real life.
Oh.
Sergei Fedorov. Hey, man, it's just beginner's luck.
Yeah.
I'll be on a losing streak as soon as you...
No doubt.
No.
For full transparency here, we're playing this on the Raspberry Pi, which, for a whole host of reasons, I prefer playing these older sports games on the Raspberry Pi. If for no other reason than you are able to use the analog stick, which I know you love.
Yeah, man, it makes a big difference, specifically with these older games. It's less strenuous, I find. I feel like
your arthritis kicks in.
Yeah, my arthritis kicks in, but I feel like the analog stick was kind of a gift to gamers.
Yeah.
In a way, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like, I think it changed the way we played quite a bit.
Now, I have no qualms about playing this on an emulator, but I seem to think that there's more fun to play games on the original console, but you tend to have a different opinion about that.
Well, I've kind of grown out of I feel like if I do play a lot of these older games on the original hardware and like a CRT TV, I do feel like I retain a lot more of the game, right? I feel like I played Resident Evil 2 last year for the first time on the original hardware,
right,
and on our CRT television, and man, that was like, I remember I told you that I'm like, hey, I just passed it, and I was talking about it for a week. I was thinking about that game for like a week after, and
yeah.
and I mean, the setup that I had was exactly the setup that you want for it. But it's like, specifically, I think for some of the things that we're doing nowadays with the recording and just these HD TVs, like, you know, these games, they're not gonna look good if they're not, you know, being put through an HDMI cable, right? So
there's, you know, obviously the retro gaming scene has a lot of people who's put a lot of effort into making some of these old consoles more palatable to, you know, modern televisions and modern technologies. But, you know, but that's original consoles. Now, I mean, this is convenient, but do you ever think that there's something about playing this that doesn't give us the same experience as how it would have been? I mean, we're reviewing games, right?
of course.
But, or is that not really
No,
something
no,
to
no,
take
no,
into
no.
mind?
You know what it is? I like to call it the whole Spotify effect.
Yeah.
It's too accessible, and it's just like, it's too easy. And I think when things are too easy to like get, the specialness goes away. It escapes you.
Yeah.
The more control you have over these things, the more not special they are, right? And it's like, that's why I kind of still refuse to get on Spotify. Everyone's like, what's your Spotify list, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, no. I'm like, I get my music the old-fashioned way. I get it off of LimeWire, folks. I'm just kidding. No, but I still look on like MediaFire for zips. I still buy music. I buy music off of like Bandcamp from all these indie artists because it's like, I still play it on an iPod.
Yeah.
I have an iPod Touch. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, I like having my iPod just to play music, and my phone is my phone. And it's just like, dude, you are right. Like, the original hardware, it makes a big difference. Specifically, if you play something for the first time, like a Resident Evil 2, if you have the chance to play that on the original hardware,
Yeah.
that's the way to get into it, man.
But there is something about gamers in particular that we like. I mean, maybe it's not entirely rational, but you know, I never really think too hard. I mean, you give the music example, and it's a really good one because I don't really think. So I am on Spotify, and I don't really think too long and hard about, well, this originally came out on vinyl. Shouldn't I be listening to this album on vinyl? I'll happily listen to like the compressed MP3 that Spotify puts out, right? But for games, I have this weird thing where it's like, if I have the opportunity to play something on an original Xbox, I mean, you know, perfect example, the recent Grab by the Ghoulies review, I could, you know, in theory, buy an Xbox One X or a Series X and play the HD remaster. But, you know, I was sort of insistent on playing it with the, you know, with the chunky boy Duke. That was my jam. I imagine there's a lot more people like me in gaming than there might be in movies. I mean, you know, people in movies aren't really saying, oh, well, if you don't watch it in 35 millimeter, you may as well not watch it, right?
Well, I think, like, I mean, like, there's a difference between the elitism and just wanting to actually experience stuff. And for example, like this stuff with the hockey stuff, we got the world at our fingertips with the emulation.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not gonna go out and buy NHL 90. What is this name?
NHL Face-off. But
We're not hunting this down.
Well, we're definitely not hunting down Street Hockey 95.
No, we are not. But it's like, for things like this, man, emulation is perfect. If you just want to be like, you know what, I want to experience it. The emulation is perfect for that.
Yeah, I mean, I still have nightmares from Street Hockey 95.
Yeah, I do too. Don't worry, but
with
I still have nightmares from the tick, so don't worry. As you know, these games come back to haunt my dreams. But it's like, but then it's like, and we discussed this a little bit before, not on the record, but just like in our, you know, personal conversations.
Yeah.
Not all these games can be emulated properly, though. Specifically, the Nintendo 64 is atrocious to emulate.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where it's like, it's, you know...
Even Nintendo is having issues emulating their own games right now on the Nintendo Store. Like, for the Nintendo 64 stuff?
Yeah.
Dude, there's been a lot of issues with, like, just things just not working or not looking good. It's that's how hard it is to emulate N64 stuff.
But I mean, of course, no Nintendo 64 game looks good, so it's really understandable.
Officially a hater for the Nintendo 64. It's been confirmed.
I just can't.
What's the best looking N64 game? There's got to be one. What is it in your opinion? And don't say Zelda.
Cruising
Please.
USA.
Oh no.
Uh,
This is actually Cruising USA graphics right here.
yeah.
The flat, but the trickery of the 3D. This is Cruising USA right
Yeah,
here.
I will say that I think that
I have it. I have my answer, but I want your answer.
the best game for the N64,
The best looking game for the N64.
Beetle Adventure Racing. I'm sorry, I can't think of a good game for the N64. So no, I don't know. I mean,
Jet Force Gemini is the best looking Nintendo 64.
I was gonna say something with that uses the expansion pack. So
I can't remember, but honestly, Jet Force Gemini,
okay,
I think that's the best looking Nintendo 64 game.
I'll take your word for it. It'll be a cold day in hell when I review an N64 game.
I'm thinking of doing Pilot Wings, just
Fine.
because.
Finally.
Yeah, finally, I know the
Little,
Pilot Wings 64.
Little game called Pilot Wings. No one. What's next? Super Mario Brothers?
No,
No.
no, that's been done a million times. But I think I got some interesting things to say about Pilot Wings. Just specifically as Pilot Wings is interesting because it's a bit of a glorified tech demo.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's like. That was, along with Mario 64, Pilot Wings was also, that was the only other game that was out for when the N64 released.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they forget about that, and it's like, Pilot Wings was a glorified tech demo to be like, this is what this thing is going to be capable of.
Yeah. I didn't think Pilot Wings 64 was that bad.
It's hard. It disguises itself with the cute graphics.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, man, that's a game that you could break. You could throw the controller across the room because it's hard.
So I mean, I don't know. Well, I think for the sake of our videos, it would be obviously better to play Pilot Wings on something like the Raspberry Pi, provided that the emulation is good. But I mean, you can already see. I mean, the Raspberry Pi handles the PlayStation fairly well. Well, I was going to make. Well, here you can actually see the point. So I mean, clearly there's some sort of graphical. We don't hide what we do here. There's clearly some sort of graphical artifacting that's happening. I mean, if you look at the player profile on the top right. It looks like a glitch in the Matrix is happening.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. It's like, I get when you're dealing with emulation, you have to expect these things. It's not going to be perfect. It's like, it's if you have a Ferrari.
Yeah.
It's better to just have it with the original engine if you can. You know what I mean? It's like you take away the specialness of like what it was built with and the original tools that were in it that made it work. And it's like, yeah, sure, the Ferrari is still, it's a beautiful car. You put a new engine in, it's going to work, but it's like, it's not the same.
You're opening yourself up to so many more issues.
Well, yeah. It's
also car nerds hating on you.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's the thing. It's like, is there a stigmatism to emulation? If you're like, oh, I only play this, it's like the nerds are going to go at each other's throats because it's like, well, I only play on original stuff. It's like, who cares?
I think most people have stronger opinions about what other people are playing than what they're playing. I think most people just play it however they choose.
Just play what you love, man. Honestly, it's like...
What team would you like to be?
What do I want to be here?
Keeping him
good. It's 95?
Yeah.
Considering that I won, which I was very
That's true.
quiet about.
That's true.
I'm just going to keep this demeanor here.
Bad game confirmed.
I want the Sharks. I saw the logo.
You want the logo? Okay.
I want the Sharks.
Okay.
Give me the Sharks. Yeah.
And I will be the Hartford Whalers. Yeah.
So far, so good.
So far, excellent video.
The handling, this like.
Look, it's not. It's a far cry from NHL '94. It's also
It moves slower. Did you notice that?
I did.
For a PlayStation, for something that's supposed to be next gen, it is slower.
Well, it's in this awkward step where it's like you're right. The players are.
They're not. It's not like these aren't polygons.
No,
these are sprites.
They're sprites that have rotation applied to them, like different poses and such. But no, you're right. Oh man, I think I might play if I survive this, And we're playing, what are we, best of 3 again?
Yeah, best of 3.
Yeah, especially for these longer games, because the NHL games seem to go fly by more quickly than these. But I'd definitely like to play with the LA Kings. I'm just imagining their beautiful silver and gray jerseys now. But you know what? This is, emulation, I think, sometimes does get a bad rap among some people in the community. But, Sony's not going to be, re-releasing NHL Face-off from 1995. They'd have to be crazy to do
They're
that.
not, man. There's just, but the thing is, though, these games are so small. I don't know why they wouldn't just put them up on their server. 10 megabytes or however big this game is. It's just they can do it, but the thing is, though, who's going to buy this? Who's going to buy this?
Dumb people like us who are trying to
Who are
make a
playing it
YouTube
right
channel. I would buy this for the dumb sake of making this video, but it's
Emulation serves its purpose for things like this, for games like this that are pretty much non-existent in the gaming market, right? It's I don't remember seeing this in stores. I was obviously too young to remember,
fully
but
appreciate its majesty.
But it's I'm not seeing a game like this in stores now, and emulation serves its purpose for this. If you're looking for the experience that you feel that you missed out on, it's perfect, man. And it's if you're willing to accept a couple things, it's not, you're gonna have the glitchy thing in the right corner.
Why do you keep dumping the puck?
I don't know,
you
man.
Afraid of me?
I'm doing playoff style here, where it's
it's the first period of a preseason game. You don't need to
listen, every game is the playoffs, okay?
You don't need to clench your butt cheeks that hard.
Every game is like the playoffs here. But dude, emulation's changed my gaming life. Knowing how easy it was to do this, to buy the Raspberry Pi, to set it up. It's the gaming community is the greatest, and at the same time horrible. But for things like this, it's amazing.
Oh my God!
Are we stuck? What's going on?
No, stop dumping the puck.
I dump and play. I dump and shoot.
Look, in a very real way. Oh my God! Again,
dude, I am not blue.
You are blue.
Am I blue? No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
Jeez Louise. I thought the San Jose Sharks.
Oh, I don't know how you ended up on St. Louis.
Dude, you totally what?
I bucknered you.
You bucknered me, man.
No, you know what it was, dude. You know what it was. I told you.
That's it. That is it. We gotta get a fight going on.
So
for
just
this
to be
one.
clear, you went through the entire first period, not realizing that you weren't. Not only were you not the. I just scored. That you were.
We were playing so similar that I was convinced that I was. Yeah, this is a classic 90s move here.
Look, it's not an exaggeration to say that without the Raspberry Pi, we probably wouldn't have started this channel.
I don't think so, because I just think there's not enough. It's for the original hardware to capture this stuff in terms of video quality. It's I love the retro bit.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to keep getting better. And I know that, you recorded the retro bit for the Grabbed by the Ghoulies review, which looks great.
Oh, you mean the retro tink?
Sorry, I apologize. The retro tink. Retro bit is the controllers, right?
It's the retro bit is another retro gaming company. I forget what products they make. I think they make controllers and other stuff.
But dude, I love the retro tink. I think it's a great product, and I think
and we're looking to get the 5X when we get a chance.
We're gonna upgrade. We're gonna continue to support that company because it's doing a great thing, not only for the game stuff, but I captured a lot of my high 8 videos from it, and that's the beauty of it, is that prior to doing all of this, I was looking into getting the high 8 tapes transferred.
Oh my gosh.
And I think once you convinced me to get a retro tink, I was wow, I can actually do my high 8 video and mini D stuff as well, and it does it great. And it's the thing with that is, once again, if you have the original hardware, you got to have the proper setup and all that stuff, and it's it's a little bit more. I feel like it requires a little bit more. The emulation, I feel, is just like you just get some better results, right?
Well, I think with emulation, it's like, we're using a Raspberry Pi using Recall Box, but I had been using another launcher. I won't mention the name of it because I don't want to, talk bad about it. But Recall the Recall Box distribution of the operating system was just less finicky for me. It seemed like every 5 minutes I was, entering command line prompts and all that type of stuff, just in order to get a Bluetooth controller to pair. And so emulation at first can be very finicky, right? Like,
I wouldn't have done this if it wasn't for you though.
Yeah.
Like my personality.
Yeah.
I don't have the patience, and I remember when I was setting everything up, it took some trial and error.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing too, man. It's
moral of the story: never update.
Yeah, moral of the story: don't update, because I think updates are a scam. I do. I don't care. I honestly think updates for the most part are a scam. It's specifically with the emulation stuff. It's like you're asking me to update something that it could play in 1995,
right?
But you want me to update it now, in 2021?
It's like everything seems to be working fine,
like,
right?
Why would I do that?
Yeah, yeah.
It works.
Yeah,
It's gonna break it.
So emulation, like to get started, even as someone who is like notionally, purist, likes to play as much as possible on original hardware.
Puritan?
Yeah, I'm an original hardware purist. Emulation, once you get things going,
it's like driving a Ferrari down a highway.
it's annoying to get started, right?
It is.
But
that's like everything. Every sort of hobbyist, for example, like I remember someone suggested, oh, you should watch Doctor Who. You'd love it. I'm like, where do I even start though?
Yeah.
There's so many
20
Doctor
seasons
Who's.
or something, right?
And then everyone's got their favorite Doctor Who. They're like, you should do this. You should start there. But it's like, I kind of think emulation feels like that. It's like, well, you should, everyone's got their favorite, the OS that they want to run on it, and
But also like if it wasn't for emulation,
if it wasn't for emulation, it's the only thing keeping game restoration alive right now.
Well, that's for sure. But there are lots of people who like the Satellaview games for the Super Nintendo, and a lot of those games that were the Japanese for the 16-bit consoles that were like broadcast through the television, right? For those games wouldn't be available to us because like Nintendo lost the source code for like some of their Zelda expansion packs or the N64 DD stuff. Like how expensive that like an original hardware for so emulation has opened up the door to things that the preservation aspect of it for games that barely wouldn't have survived otherwise. But not only that, games that have survived. I mean, how many people do you know have arcade cabinets?
Well, I mean, I talk about getting them, but after you start doing emulation, you're like, am I really gonna pay $500 to put Mortal Kombat in my home when I can play it on an emulator for like nothing?
Well,
it's nice to see. Like, don't get me wrong, I want a Tales from the Crypt pinball machine in my home, but like, dude, it's space, right?
I have long considered getting something like an arcade one-up, right? Like
I think one day when I get my mansion and you live on the top floor, like, dude, I do want that.
But that is, of course, emulation, right? So
what's
the only difference is that notionally the rights holders get their cut.
So like, what are the original arcades then? They're built for those things?
Yeah, it's like, but the original arcades are like their own little individualized consoles, right? They have their bespoke PCBs and their bespoke motherboards, and
it's its own home theater because it's got the TV, the games inside, the motherboard.
Yeah, now I'll give you San Jose 100%. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
But yeah, so
I lost this one.
you lost this one, but that was my fault.
You gave me
But that's
what'd you give me? I was Hartford.
St. Louis.
How dare you?
But like, if you
I
want a
hate their
Simpsons
logo.
arcade cab, that's an expensive proposition. The space as well, right? So I think that there's a real tension where people want to fulfill all their nostalgic dreams, but don't have the time, space, and money commitments for it all. Whereas a Raspberry Pi is, about the size of a wallet.
Well, the Raspberry Pi, it's the size of a smartphone. I mean, obviously it's thicker. But it just sits. It stays there. It's not taking up any space. I mean, like I said, man. I mean, if it wasn't for emulation, is kind of the only true form of video game preservation. Like, I know, like, yes, they have stuff on like the Nintendo store, and they're trying, and Sony still they have a couple like PS2 games and whatnot, but it's like I just feel like it's just not there because they're not doing a good job. Like, even like I bought Siren for the PS2 on PlayStation 4, and it's totally fine. It works, but it's like, it just feels like, in the way that in emulation you can kind of choose for how the graphics to look. It just feels like they didn't do anything. Like, it don't look cleaner. It looks compressed. It looks blurry. It just feels like it's like, yeah, here, just be happy, now go. Emulation, it's like you got more control over it, and it's just like, I guess the question is, emulation. It's like, where are people getting this stuff? Are they ripping games? Like, how are they getting it? Like, how is this stuff leaking onto the internet?
People are just ripping. I mean, most CDs and DVDs are readable using, pretty standard off-the-shelf hardware.
Is what we're playing right now, is it a rip that someone made and they put up online?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yep.
Someone ripped their disc. Someone owned this and they ripped it.
Yeah, I mean, I used to rip my own games for sure. I still rip my own Blu-rays and things like that. There's never been any sort of like prohibition around people
Wayne Gretzky,
against people ripping their own titles.
Sweetest villain in the NHL. The darling villain of the NHL. Well, when he was with the Kings, but
Yeah.
whatever.
So yeah. So I mean, all of these games have that are available online. I mean,
It's from someone.
It's from someone who bought the game and ripped it. But I mean, it's not an all or nothing. I feel like sometimes the discussion gets muddied into become like an all or nothing thing, right? Because I mean, not to tell stories outside of school, but you've spent a pretty chunk of change recently on
I have.
on like PlayStation 1 games, despite the fact that we are playing an emulated PS1 game right now.
Because I know that because the prices are going up on those things, they're ridiculously, and I'm getting nervous because I actually want to play the original hardware. I still have all this stuff. I want to play it the way that it was meant to be played, and I'm getting all nervous. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna buy Silent Bomber. I don't care.
Yeah. So so even though we sort of both fall into like separate camps a little bit, like I prefer to play it on original hardware if I can, and you prefer the emulation, like we both kind of do a little bit of both in the end.
We do a little bit of both. Like, for certain things, I want to like. So what I'm gonna do, as a tradition now, I'm gonna play Mega Man Legends 2 every Christmas, and I'm playing it on original hardware. I'm not gonna record it. Because
you want to play it as God intended.
I want to
on a TV with Mickey Mouse ears.
That is correct, my friend. Or my my JVC, my beautiful. It's the white JVC, the 13-inch one in my room. And
I don't know. I mean, I saw some developer photos, and I'm pretty sure that they played it on a pink Disney Princess TV. And
yeah, don't. You know how much that one is worth? A pretty penny. It's like $300 for a Disney Princess CRT.
I mean, we're still in the phase where people can pick up CRTs by the side of the road.
Yeah.
But those days will be gone soon, right?
Yeah, but people are catching on now. They're like,
You mean the old people?
they're giving the side eye, and they're like, yeah, we're not just giving this. This is not $10 anymore. This CRT is like $50, and they're like firm on Kijiji. They're not budging, and I'm like,
All the more reason to get into emulation, I guess.
Well, because the TVs are going to start to burn out, man.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time, so it's like, what's going to happen? Eventually, these things they're going to die, and they are going to be just relics from the past. So
sign up to the Select, where we have our fiction apocalypse podcast about the last CRT in the universe.
It's true. This is a very Fahrenheit 451 situation going on here, where we're talking about people. Someone ripped this game and they put it online. In the same way, that Fahrenheit 451, it's like there's no more books. They're gone. Yeah. So someone is Shakespeare, someone is Einstein, someone remembers all this stuff. It's like
it's kind of amazing when you think of it in that, like when you break the, so if you say, well, this game was on some website and someone downloaded it, like, that sounds like a pretty simple thing. But when you break it down to the whole, like, sorry, the natural order of things has restored itself, and you are the San Jose Sharks, so
I did it to myself.
You went down looking cool and fresh.
I did it to myself.
So once you break it down to, like, there's a community of people that someone has sat down and ripped this disc and put it online, and that disc has an afterlife of its own. That's kind of cool to think about.
I know it is. Dude, that's why I'm like, this game belonged to someone, and I mean,
theoretically, or they rented it from Blockbuster Video,
or who knows, man? Maybe a developer threw it up.
I mean, that's how we got Thrill Kill, right? It was like
that is how Thrill Kill.
So Thrill Kill being what, like an unreleased.
Well, it was like 95% done, and then at the last minute they're like, yeah, this is gonna anger a lot of parents. They're like, we're gonna make it Wu-Tang Shaolin style, and it's like,
so if we didn't have that unreleased, if someone didn't commit an act of piracy, and like
is it though? But it's not. It's
it's someone's intellectual property, right? They stole a disc from a company that is unreleased, and then they ripped it and they put it online, and now we're profiting, or no one's profiting off of it, but we're all I mean, maybe people are selling it, but we're all enjoying a game that was never really meant to be out. But would anyone deny that, you can call it an ethical gray area, but would anyone deny that it's better that we know about it than not?
The thing is, though, we were saying, like, before, game development is hard.
Game development's hard.
Making a movie is hard. Making any form of art is hard. And then it's like when it doesn't get released. I mean, dude, you gotta think about it. Like, all these devs who are just working their asses off.
Yeah.
And then for someone to say the game's been canceled, it's like, that's painful, man.
Little act of revenge to have the leak the game out, right?
Well, listen, rightfully so. It's like, why not? It was made to be played. It was made to be seen. You gotta think, like.
Well, there is just a little something that makes me laugh about, like, the idea of talking about playing the game the way it was meant to be played. Well, the way the Thrill Kill was meant to be played was not at all, because
we never got that,
because we never had the opportunity. I don't know how that went in.
I don't know either. This game is glitched. The only thing with emulation is, for example, like a game like Thrill Kill.
Yeah. All
you can say is to yourself, like, oh, okay, well, this is how it would have been. And at least you can set the tone and imagine what it would have been like. Dude, I played Thrill Kill, okay? When I played that game, it took me back where I was like, I thought about, like, the year when it came out. I thought about how old I was, where I was in my life, and I was just like, man, I was like, damn, this game.
I do not understand.
I don't understand either, but, well, because it's Wayne Gretzky, the great one, but... Thrill Kill would have been a game, like, it would have been just like this thing I would have been talking about in high school. Like, it's not even that good.
No.
It is fun, but it's like, in no way is it like a memorable fighting game. It's just the shock of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredibly. I don't know how to explain it. If you've never played it, for the people listening, it's sort of like imagine if the makers of Twisted Metal were given like the keys to whatever, however they wanted to make a fighting game. It's literally feels like that. It's these characters
It's like an arena brawler.
It's like an arena brawler, but it's incredibly dark, and man, it's like.
And it's incredible. It's like
it goes there, man. In terms of the visuals,
late '90s, early 2000s, like Limp Bizkit edge.
It's just like it's got a 9 Inch Nails kind of like walking into like a. It's pretty wild, but once again though, emulation, it gives us the opportunity to play games like that, right? So
just things that have like a moral gray area, right? Like no one would expect, that game never got released, so. The opportunity to play that is sort of by bending what what's often considered moral in sort of gaming, and emulation sort of also falls in that gray area. But
I think there's a place. I think there's a place for both.
Yeah.
Right. Emulation's obviously is going to outlast these things eventually in like 10 years, but I think right now, man, there's a place for both.
So. That's another game in the books.
That's another one in the books.
And
is the computer playing on its own?
Is it's a track
sticking it
mode.
To us? Look at these amazing angles, though. Wow.
Yeah, there's different. So this is more like another game that we might get to at some point, the Stanley Cup hockey for the Super Nintendo.
Oh, okay.
But that's a single player game. So, but that's for another day. But so far, just so I mean, I don't mean to rub it in, but the tally is so far.
Respectively.
3-1 victories for me. The one loss, of course, being the shared loss for Street Hockey 95.
I respectively lost, though. I respectively lost this one. Come on. I did all right.
You respectably lost, yeah.
This felt like a real game. And it was probably the best conversation thus far.
Better than NHL
better than
94? Oh, better than Street Hockey 95? Yeah. This let's put it this way. This is the best non-NHL 95 hockey game of 95 that we've played so far. I mean, I don't know. There might be other 95 hockey games released in 95 that we're yet to play, but...
I like this one, man. The controlling was good. It was simple.
Yeah.
But it's weird to see something like this. Like this is a PlayStation hockey game, and then, you see what EA was doing after... Or of course our boys at 989 who we love, what they were doing after. Those games are a far leap from something like this, that it's still sprite based,
Yeah, we'll get to those games eventually as we work our way through every single NHL hockey game that was ever released ever. But yet another game that we've played and now can commit to the Select Gaming Incinerator, because we shall never play this game again.
So you're going to have to throw your Raspberry Pi.
That's right, another reason not to use original consoles. Dusty, thanks for stopping by.
Falstaff, always a pleasure.
Until we meet again. Bye.
Bye, everyone.